A former intern is sharing stories about how Blake Lively made her cry. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and this story was making its way around the web, and I'm so glad we have her here. Jamie, Cool Mom Jamie is here. Welcome to the show. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I wish it was on better terms. I'm sad we're bringing you on to tell such a sad story, but here we are. We've been covering this Blake Justin drama for a while, and you made a TikTok sharing this story, which now has racked up over 2 million views. A lot of people have been seeing it. And in it, you share a story about being a intern at the time, around the days of, was it Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, correct?
They were doing press for Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and I was an intern.
Wow, so all the way back then. So all right, so you've shared this story. You used to work in an agency. You have a lot of history with Hollywood and working in the industry. And so this was one of her sort of first gigs back in then. This was before Gossip Girl, right? So you were there. Can you let's set up the story, and then I want to get some of your thoughts. So that way, if people missed the TikTok, which you can check out over at Cool Mom Jamie, if they missed it, let's hear it again. So explain what happened. So you were there working as an intern for, what was it? It was a television network, correct?
It was the Fuse channel, which was underneath Madison Square Garden networks in New York City, very much MTV in tone.
Yep. I remember Fuse. There was like Spike, Fuse. There's a bunch of those cable networks. Okay, so you were working Fuse, and what were they doing? Marketing for the film?
So they were doing press for the film. I was like an all-day intern for Fuse, so I would bop show to show, and then I would help with production of other shows. So I was floating around the whole channel.
Got it. So why was the Sisterhood in the studio?
They were doing press. The movie had just come out, and I believe the show we were on was Daily Download. To the best of my recollection, that was the name of the show.
So a while ago. Okay, Daily Download. So they're there doing press, and then what happened? What caused the drama?
So it was a very normal day, and per the rules, I didn't engage with talent. And if you know anything about hierarchies and structures on these sets, if you don't have a microphone, you pretty much have no business interacting with people. So I was just in the hallway delivering water bottles, and it was me and two other interns, and it was a narrow hallway. So for them to get to set from the green room, they had to pass us. So we literally pressed up against the wall to let them through because they had to go tape. And then I go out to set a few minutes later. I'm behind the camera just watching them warm up and then, talk about the movie. And then maybe 20 minutes later, they're like, we're having an emergency intern meeting upstairs, everybody upstairs, because the studio was downstairs. Get upstairs.
Which is kind of weirdly rare in the midst of a shooting day, right? I mean, that's not common. Emergency intern meetings.
No, it wasn't, because there was a whole nother show I had to get to, because we had two offices at the time. So I was supposed to like jet over to the subway to get down to this other, we had like an editing office.
It's a busy day, especially being an intern PA. They don't want to waste time doing big emergency meetings. So what was this meeting about?
So then they said, we need to remind you guys how to be professional on set. Nobody should be talking to talent. This is not the time to make, conversations with them, and certainly don't treat them like a fan. Now, having been with all the interns, this was a few shows we'd already done, and we were together for most of this. I was looking around like, nobody spoke to them. Nobody spoke to them. Then they asked me to stay after the meeting, and I'm freaking out now. I'm like, are they going to let me go? Like, what just happened? And then they're like, Jamie, you were pointed out. They said that you were treating Blake like a fan. Blake had a big complaint about you. And I'm literally like, I feel like I'm going crazy because I had people with me. We didn't speak to them. This was our 9th show. And then for a little bit of context, I grew up going to sets because my parents worked in television. So like, I was very clear, you don't talk to talent. So I was just stunned. And then as I walked out, I just started crying because I was afraid they were I was afraid that it was going to cost me my job. Like, you're the most disposable person there when you're an intern. Like, and I was 20, I was in college.
So it was Blake specifically, they said, that called you out for treating her like a fan, which is confusing because, just to back you up, looking at her filmography, Gossip Girl started in 2007. And yeah, this was her like first credit. I guess she did I don't know what the Sandman thing is, some thing, but this was clearly her first real studio credit. How could you be a fan?
I had no idea who she was.
So did they give you any more specifics? Did you try to challenge it?
They were trying to jog my memory to be like, well, she said you treated her like a fan. She said you treated her like a fan. And the only thing I could reiterate, because at this point I'm getting very like I'm sweating, I'm really freaking out. And I'm like, I promise I didn't talk to her, but like they weren't buying it at that point. So I just was like, all right, I'm just gonna let them yell at me, I guess, and like
Right,
let
you're
this
put on the
go.
spot, and clearly the fact that she complains to you is if she did, I'm sure they're confused too, right? What do you think it was? I mean, has this sort of sat with you for a while, I guess, and did you ever hear any other Blake Lively stories with your time in the industry?
So I have actually two answers to that. I shook it off because when they didn't fire me and like because that is a fireable offense to upset the talent when you're that level. They kept me on, and then I went on to work in Hollywood in different capacities. Don't forget this was in New York. So I kind of forgot about it until every now and then I'd hear a weird story about her being rude to people. And I would just be like, she really wasn't nice to me. And then this broke. And now I have 10 years of experience in the industry, working for agents, working on set, working in front of the camera, working behind the camera, working as my daughter's talent manager to really understand how these things play out. And it struck me as a pattern of behavior for her.
Yeah, does it worry you? I mean, I applaud you for coming forward and sharing a story. A lot of people are afraid of not only Blake, but now Ryan and Taylor Swift and sort of the power couple of it all. And I'm just, are you concerned about this affecting your career in the industry?
So I've been out of the industry for over 5 years, so I feel safe enough that like we joke that people are civilians. I'm on the civilian side of things now. Once I stopped managing my daughter, I really took a big step back. So
Got it.
that's why I'm speaking because I don't have skin in the game. I just have a lot of experience working with directors, writers, and talent, being talent myself and managing my daughter's talent career. I also got my first job off the internship in PR, so I understand how PR battles can go.
Yeah. So, what is your take on how things are going? I mean, obviously, now you have a little bit more bias because you saw it firsthand how Blake was treating people even in the beginning. Do
Right.
you
And
do you think any of what she's saying could be true though?
I think that there's definite truths in both lawsuits for sure, because like you don't get that far without having some kind of evidence. But having anecdotally heard some different behaviors tracking with this, experiencing it myself, and then I worked at CAA, which is WME's competitor. So like they're the two biggest talent
Yep.
agencies in LA. I know how the conversations likely went between agents as this conflict was beginning.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, okay, I have an opinion on how this might have gone.
So what is your opinion? Have you picked a side, or have you just sort of said it's clearly Blake, she was mean to me?
No, so I always allow myself like wait for all the facts to develop. I just know in Hollywood it is a game of leverage, connections, and referrals. And it's a gig economy that is referral based. So you don't want to kick an enemy like Goliath when you know you're not working in 3 months and you need a referral to get that next project. She's a powerhouse combined with Ryan Reynolds within that agency. They bring in a lot of money. So everyone there is incentivized to have her back. Somebody like Baldoni, much easier to make him the bad guy, much easier to boot him off the project, much easier to push him around because when push comes to shove, he brings in significantly less revenue. This not even considering their brand deals and all that. Now, the other thing I wanted to color in was in these talent agencies, there's also a hierarchy of power within the agents.
For
You
sure.
better believe the top dog agents are with Blake and Ryan, who internally can throw their weight around on a smaller agent or a mid level agent who's like just trying to get the project made. Now,
Right. Well, because they get paid based on their talents pays. If you don't get paid, the agent doesn't want to have you in the agency anymore. 100%. The agency's trying to claim like, oh, we had nothing to do with it. We didn't pick sides, but they clearly pick sides. And it's interesting
they
because there's
always
others.
pick sides.
Yeah, 100%. And there's others like that agency specifically. There's connections to UFC. Like, there's a lot of other players that they took their time before they pushed out. Traditionally, they're more careful. It was wild to see how quickly they sided with Blake and Ryan when typically they don't actually try to jump that fast. I am curious though too. Did you watch the interview with Kirsty? Like,
So
this
that
uncomfortable
interview
moment?
was the one that jogged my memory because when I saw how she spoke to her, I was like, this is officially a pattern, not just a weird outlier. Like for a few years, when I would occasionally think about it, because obviously way more dramatic stuff happens in Hollywood than getting yelled at as an intern. When I would think about it, though, I would be like, maybe she's not so nice. Maybe that was a bad day. I don't know. I saw this interview, and then I saw another one where she was misfiring, and I said, oh, okay, I think I got the right read many years ago.
Yeah. I'll have to connect you with Kirsty. It would be fun to watch you two have a conversation and relate to the meanness of Blake. Well, my goodness, I'm glad you're here to share the story. You're not the only one, and I hope you inspire others to come forward because it is wild to see how we're all. I've seen it now too. I'm being called a misogynist because I'm challenging Blake Lively, and it's like I'm not. I'm not team Justin. I'm not team Blake. I'm team trying to wait for the evidence. But now there's this sort of thrust that Blake's being attacked again, even though Justin's just trying to defend himself. And that has put me over to more team Justin, if I'm being honest, because it just seems absurd that we can't let this man defend himself and hear the other side of things. Do you sense this as a power play happening in the Hollywood?
My suspicion is she was reacting to getting bad press. She notoriously does struggle in interviews as coming off relatable and instead coming off condescending. So I think this was a knee-jerk reaction to some of the Baldoni stuff. I also think if you go through, Baldoni had been complaining about her to Sony since the onset of the project. There's a well-documented paper trail of complaints, and they're all basically the same. She's throwing her weight around. It's a very big problem when the talent is bigger than the director on some sets because then the talent really tries overshooting and calling the shots, and it makes it very hard for the director to execute. It was really looking like that based on he had his lawyers writing letters. Like I think, and in PR, you want to shoot your shot first because you put the other party on the defensive. She shot her shot and then he came out with receipts. And so once I read all the text messages and stuff, perhaps the most damning piece was her repeated refusal to meet with the intimacy coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the movie last night. That's the horniest movie I've ever seen. There are
It
so
is.
many
It
sex
is.
scenes.
It's surprising how much they're together, right? Given how much they clearly she hated him. It is
Well, I
weird.
wanted to give them both props for being such good actors that if I didn't know any of this, I would have no idea there was this drama. Like, actually, if I didn't know this, I would say they both gave good performances.
Yeah, I didn't hate the movie. Like some people, oh, it's terrible. I mean, it's a genre movie. It is what it is. But I thought they both managed to pull off some chemistry given all the drama. I will give them both that credit.
Right. Same here because I was like, man, I honestly wouldn't know this. But again, there were so many intimate scenes. That's like having the movie Step Up without a choreographer and then just improving on set. Like I just
Well,
everybody
and
needed to know where the hands went.
and this idea that it was only one instance where he bit her lip, but that was it. Really? I'm sorry. Is that really worth a lawsuit over? Like it feels a little over exaggerated. And again, if your story is true, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, there clearly is a pattern of this sort of over mean girl behavior, which we saw with Kirsty, and just over exaggerating of things is strange. And again, also ironic, given this was a Woody Allen movie she was defending. I just can't get my head around where Blake actually, her moral obligations lie. You know what I mean? It's very weird. It does feel like a play of egos is really what I think is happening between Justin and Blake, and now all the PR and lawyers all trying to defend themselves. So we'll see what happens. But I appreciate you coming on here. Make sure you can follow her on social media and on TikTok at Cool Mom Jamie. Appreciate you coming here, giving us the scoop. Keep us posted if any other Blake people reach out to you. You'll have to start a Blake Lively support group, I guess. Any final thoughts?
I was just going to say a slew of former coworkers reached out from every step in my journey to validate what I was saying, both about the power structure specifically, and two, to color in their individual experiences with her. And like my experience tracks with a pattern here where she aligns with people she perceives as superior and seems to disrespect or not like people she perceives as below. And it sounds like she felt like she was above Justin. But I mean, we're all going to find out as this case develops. Like, I'm going to give myself permission to change my opinion as the facts develop.
as we all have the right to do. So
Yeah.
please forward those people over to us. Keep us posted. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit that bell for all alerts, smash that like button as well. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming for you here on Popcorn Planet. Appreciate all you guys that are watching. What do you think? Tell us down below and stay tuned for more here on the channel.